So when I first moved to Germany, I constantly felt like I was doing things wrong. In fact, I was told that I was doing things wrong a lot. At work, I had to see my manager, but do my colleagues. I had to learn the hard way that digital forms, digital cash, and digital communications sometimes still do not even count. You have to have the hard paper copies, like, oh my god, this is still a thing. At home, I had to wash the recycling before sorting it correctly, and yeah, don't even get me started on the balcony geraniums. People were horrified when they discovered that I didn't have any Rechtsschutzversicherung, which is like legal protection insurance. And yes, it is crazy to think that I survived almost 6 years here without having any Haftpflichtversicherung, which is like personal liability insurance. I mean, can you imagine? Back in Britain, these things were optional, polite suggestions at best, but usually just like kind of afterthoughts. In Germany, they're not just the rules, they are part of how life works. Not because someone's watching, although that might be part of it, but because the system only works if everyone does their part. And that's really when it hit me. This wasn't just about bureaucracy or cultural quirks. It's about values. Because once you've lived here a while, you begin to sense it, that Germany isn't structured around individual freedom, it's structured around shared responsibility, and that changes everything. The culture in the UK when I was growing up there valued independence, not just financially, but emotionally, socially, and philosophically. Like, don't ask for help. Keep to yourself, mind your own business. There is dignity in that, but it's also isolation. Like, we rarely talk about it, but British culture quietly encourages a kind of moral loneliness. To need too much is to fail, and to ask too much is to burden. And the key difference is that freedom in Britain often means freedom from obligation. Germany runs differently. The culture assumes not that you'll stand alone, but that you'll take part. Dabei sein. Admittedly, it's become a bit of a meme in recent years, but dabei sein means sort of showing up, taking part, and being involved. But culturally, it means much more than just showing up. It implies belonging, participating, and ultimately being a part of the group. And this is evidenced by the numerous Vereine, or the clubs and societies that exist all over Germany. You've got everything from the voluntary fire brigade to local hiking clubs. Es geht nicht ums Gewinnen. Hauptsache man ist dabei. It's not about winning. The main thing is to be a part of it. Now, there are numerous examples of how this plays out in daily life. I mean, I have to talk about football here. England has some of the best players in the world and runs the Premier League, which is arguably the most prestigious league on the planet. And yet, as a team, they just never seem to be able to get it together. Watching Germany on the field is a totally different experience. There's less ego. It's not about individual players. It's about the team dynamic as a whole. Football is just one example, but I think it's a powerful one because it shows what happens when a culture values the system more than the star, and when team play matters more than individual glory. And by the way, if it sounds like I'm gushing over Germany, please watch till the end because there are pros and cons to all of this, which I'm going to get into in just a minute. So this idea isn't just found in sports, it shows up everywhere in how people register their address with the authorities, sort their bins, or trust the state to know their location in case of an emergency. So Germany's cell broadcast system sends alerts directly to all mobile phones in a given area. No app required, no mobile phone number needed, meaning that if you have a mobile phone, they know where you are at all times, or at least they have the technological capabilities to do so. All major German mobile network operators are legally required to support cell broadcast, and Germany now runs nationwide test alerts. And when every phone in a crowded train station starts buzzing, it really becomes very clear just how interconnected things really are. And that's the thing, living in Germany made me realize how visible you are, not just culturally, but digitally as well. And that's why I really want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, which is CyberGhost VPN, a company that actually takes digital freedom seriously. With over 38 million users and 15 plus years of experience, CyberGhost VPN is one of the most trusted names in online privacy and security. They've got more than 11,000 servers across 100 countries, so wherever you are, even if you're Germany, the UK, or traveling abroad, you're covered with a fast, secure, and stable connection. CyberGhost hides your IP address, encrypts your data, and reroutes all of your traffic through secure VPN tunnel, meaning your online activity stays hidden from prying eyes. And yes, it's super easy to use, no tech background needed, whether you're on Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, smart TVs, gaming consoles, or Linux, you're protected. Plus, and this is a big one, it unblocks over 35 major streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and BBC iPlayer, so you never miss your favorite shows when traveling. One subscription protects up to 7 devices at once, which means you can keep your whole household covered. And here's the best part. By using my link, you'll get 83% off CyberGhost VPN. That's only €2.03 per month, plus 4 extra months for free. So click the link in the description below to claim your offer and take back your digital freedom. So Germany's cell broadcast doesn't just warn you about disasters, it signals something deeper, that the state has a responsibility to care for its citizens and you have a responsibility to be reachable. Just on a brief side note, I did hear that they introduced something similar in the UK in 2023. How's that going? Let me know in the comments below. Germany now runs annual nationwide test alerts, usually in September, called Warntag or Warning Day. These are coordinated drills to test not just cell broadcasts, but also sirens and app notifications. And it really can be quite alarming when the sirens start shrieking. And on a related note, the requirement for everyone to immediately register their home address with the authorities can feel invasive. And from an outside perspective, it can even seem authoritarian. But from within, it reflects something else. It's a belief in preparedness, in order, and shared protection. And so yes, these requirements to register your address, to be targeted in cell broadcasts, they are state-mandated systems, and it reflects Germany's deep values in preparedness, in order, and collective safety. And so individual freedom is not a key priority in this context. The system and the collective good take paramount importance. And people follow the rules in Germany not because they're obedient, but because the system depends on collective trust. The rubbish is sorted because it's your job to keep the system clean. You're not allowed to do any work on your house after 10 p.m. out of respect for your neighbors. The state holds authority over how parents name their children, and they do not allow things like homeschooling, all because of this big picture image of a cohesive society that works in unison. So people really need to fit in, not stand out. And so where more individualistic cultures, such as the US or the UK, would see this as a restriction of personal freedom, here it is more about mutual responsibility. There is always this prevailing idea of wider society at large, of being a part of something bigger. And so this is really about the individual versus the collective. This is the core difference. In Britain and the US, the self comes first. In Germany, the structure and the system comes first. Now, of course, I'm generalizing here a bit, but American values and to a lesser extent, British values prize autonomy. German values prize reliability, and neither is right or wrong, but they produce very different lives. One gives you space, the other gives you security. One teaches you resilience, the other teaches you trust. And one says, make something of yourself. The other says, we rise or fall together. And these cultural differences didn't just happen by accident. They're baked into the foundations of each country's political and cultural identity. And so to cut a very long story short, Britain and also America's model is still, even if it's loosely, but still rooted in classical liberalism, going all the way back to thinkers like John Locke and Adam Smith. And the core idea being that the individual comes first, that the rights are natural, that the role of the state is to stay out of your way. You can see it in the strong traditions of privacy, property rights, and political skepticism. In Britain, even the NHS, which is perhaps the most collectivist institution in the UK, is often described in terms of what the government provides, rather than something that the people steward together. Now compare that with Germany, where social systems are seen less as entitlements and more as shared obligations, part of the social fabric of society. It's not just policy. And so the US has taken British liberalism and turbocharged it, resulting in much more innovation, more freedom, more dynamism, but also more loneliness, more inequality, and more disconnection. And so Germany's model is different, especially after World War II, in rebuilding itself. It leaned hard into social democracy, a model where rights come with responsibilities, where the state isn't just a referee, it's an active participant in ensuring stability, dignity, and social cohesion. And so the idea isn't freedom from government or freedom from obligation, it's freedom through structure. And so you don't get there on your own, you get there together. Now, this might sound great on the surface, but let me be clear, that certainly has its limitations and drawbacks. It is part of the reason why the state is seemingly everywhere here, and bureaucracy is an absolute nightmare because it's not seen as a governing layer on top of society. It is society. It is a well-known fact that red tape is strangling innovation and growth here. In classic German fashion, instead of just repealing and revising existing bureaucracy, in 2016, they passed the Fourth Bureaucracy Reduction Act, or the Bürokratieentlastung-Gesetz, or the BEG 4, with more iterations following on in the preceding years, and all with the aim of reducing bureaucracy. And I think it's safe to say we know how that's going. So yes, the UK has social programs as well, but culturally it's still built on the idea that the best society is the one that asks the least of you. Germany, by contrast, asks more, but it does give you more in return. So I know I might be going a little bit too deep here, but this is the culture shock that most people struggle to come to terms with when they first move here. The difference in values can feel suffocating. You know, all the rules, all the forms, the social expectations, the particular ways of doing things. Some find it stifling, and it's where this stereotype of obedient Germans following the rules comes from. This emphasis of structure and systems over individual and personal freedom. In many ways, it seems that this is the price of stability, and you know, there are still pockets in Germany where strong individuals and free spirits thrive, like Berlin being the most obvious example. And most big cities today are far more fluid and international than the old cliches suggest. You know, the social rules have loosened, especially compared to the rigidity you will still feel in smaller towns and rural corners. But that raises a deeper question, one we rarely stop to ask. You know, everyone talks about freedom, but what do we actually mean by it? Is it freedom from obligation or freedom through structure? Is it the right to opt out or the responsibility of opting in? You know, from a British or American lens, it might seem like Germany gave up on freedom in exchange for safety, predictability, and tradition. But maybe that misses the point. You know, maybe freedom isn't just about what you're allowed to do. Maybe it's also about what you're trusted to uphold. So, no, Germany does not obsess over freedom. They do not chase freedom here in the way that Britain or the US might. But maybe it values something just as important. Maybe structure is freedom of a different kind. You know, in the end, it's not really about which is better. It's really about knowing what kind of life you want to build and the kind of society you want to help hold together. Thank you so much for watching. If you value privacy and security online, then do check out CyberGhost and take advantage of the discount they are offering. It will protect your data while you browse and give you full access to all blog content on the internet, totally risk-free, so check it out, links in the description. That's it for now, take care, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye-bye.